Yes,
All
sir.
right, welcome in. Welcome into the Diehards. Name pending right now, but yeah, there's a little college football podcast for y'all, focused on the Tide. My name's Bragg. Here with the boys, Kuso, Harris, and Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Um,
What's good?
Let's
let,
go.
let's go ahead and talk about some of these games last week. Obviously, game of the week. We all watched it. I don't know if you'd say it lived up to the hype, but we had Ohio State at Notre Dame. Um, Slow first half, ended up in a thriller. Notre Dame took the lead with 8:22, gave the ball back to Ohio State. They did nothing. Ohio State gets it back with 125, gets down to the 1 yard line with 3 seconds left, and runs it in.
Yeah, I think here Notre Dame just lost it on their small mistakes down the stretch. I mean, they get the ball back with a few minutes left to go. They run a screen play on 2nd and 15 that falls incomplete, which just saved Ohio State 40 seconds there. Then they drop interception while Ohio State's driving in the red zone, and then obviously we know about that 10-man on the field. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't
Did
do
y'all
that.
hear? Did y'all hear what Notre Dame's coach said about it too? Is the most bullshit excuse I've
No, I
ever.
didn't. What did he say?
He goes, "Yeah, we were trying to sub a man on, but we didn't want a penalty." But he had literally it was 2 or 3 plays before that. They still had 10 people, so it's not like he can use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
At that point, you just got to get the guy out there, regardless.
Yeah.
Well,
Coach,
hey, at least Notre Dame's starting to compete in primetime games. I feel like in the Brian Kelly era, every time they got put on the national stage, they just got whipped. So at least for hanging into the final play, props to them. But do y'all think Notre Dame's still a playoff team in y'all's book if they run the table and finish 11-1?
I
I
don't think
think
they're a playoff team, but they're definitely a lot better than they have been in years past. I like Sam Hartman a lot. They're still physical on both sides of the ball, but to me, the biggest takeaway from this game was Ryan Day is just an emotional ass dude. I mean, that post
Yeah,
game interview, like what Lou Holtz said, I agreed with. Notre Dame really hasn't played very well, and I mean not Notre Dame. Ohio State really hasn't played very well, other than this Georgia game in the national no semifinal game last year, which they played great and probably should have won. Ohio State has kind of came up soft in every single big game if they've played, and Notre Dame is really not one of the elite of the elite in college football, and Ohio State didn't really deserve to win this game this past Saturday. It's obviously under Ryan Day's skin, and I think Lou Holtz was right, and Ohio State's really going to have to prove themselves in a bigger game going forward. They lost 2 in a row to Michigan, and Michigan's a really physical team. If Ryan Day really wants to prove himself, I want to see them go and beat Michigan. And Kyle McCord is not very good. Ohio State has weapons all over the field, but unless McCord can take a step up offensively, I don't really think Ohio State's going to be able to compete in bigger games than this Notre Dame one.
Yeah, I like that take, and I think another one before they got Michigan, they got Penn State, which I think that could be their toughest test. I think people are kind of
Penn State's
underestimating that
looking
Penn
good.
State win. They just
yeah.
expect them to lose to Ohio State and Michigan, but I think this year they could be on top of them.
Did y'all know
Yeah.
that Penn State's the only FBS team with 0 turnovers so far this year? Drew
Ooh.
Aller, baby.
You got a game manager back there. Game
That's a good
manager.
one. That's a good one. Big game.
Jimmy with the stats. I will say I understand a little bit of him getting upset. Now, granted, I don't think taking shots at an 80-some-year-old Lou Holtz is the way to do it, especially immediately post game. But I also
And he's a Notre Dame guy too.
And he
yeah.
won a natty. Ryan Day's even won a natty yet. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I will say I saw a thing. It was before this game, so I don't know, but it was what Joel Klatt said. Who considering our fan base, I don't think
I hate
many
that guy.
are big fans of Joel
I hate
Klatt.
that guy.
But he pops up on the For You page every once in a while, and he was saying that Ohio State's kind of getting in that where Bama can be, where even if they play well and beat teams, everybody just shits on them for no reason. And you had Michigan was what 7-6 with Bowling Green at halftime or close to it. nobody said a word, but then Ohio State gets like a mildly close game against a nobody, and like people say the sky's falling. I think it was big insecure vibes and a bad look for Ryan Day, but I kind of get where he's coming from because I mean he's had success in any other
Yeah.
coach spot, and he's not
I
giving it.
do like Ryan Day. He does. He seems like a good guy, and he's put some good teams out at Ohio State. But yeah, for large part, Lou Holtz is right. They need to prove the physicality.
Yeah. Speaking of another coach who is on the hot seat in a giant program, we got Dabo Sweeney at Clemson. Playing a team that they've been consistently beating for the last decade. Didn't go down how they wanted. They put up a good fight compared to what most people would say. What did y'all think about this game? I didn't get to watch all of it, but
Yeah, I mean, Clemson seemed like they had control a lot of the game. A lot of people were questioning kind of what Mike Norvell and Florida State was doing, as obviously they were the better team on paper going into the game. I mean, Clemson fought, but just the same way as Notre Dame down the stretch, you got to close out the game. I mean, missing a field goal with throwing the walk-on kick right there for 29-yard field goal. I mean, I can make that.
I was Harris, you could definitely make that. We've seen that before.
Oh, for
I don't even
sure.
think that's a good excuse. Like you gotta finish the game. It's that close. You got a chance to win. I mean, now Clemson's out of ACC contention, out of playoff contention. Like they got interesting road ahead of them as Dabo's continued to fail to adapt to this new generation of college
Yeah,
football.
they got
Yeah.
way too many white dudes on the field. I mean,
Yeah.
it is ridiculous. It's like 8 or 9 or 10, even 10 white dudes out there against Florida State. He's got Keon Coleman, like absolutely.
Speaking of that, I don't know who it is on Clemson, but like at overtime they had like 1-on-1 and they threw it up to Coleman at the end of the game, and they just put like I don't know, it seemed like a 5'10" white dude just matched 1-on-1 with Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman just went up and grabbed that. He said, "I'll take that."
Yeah,
It's very obvious that Clemson's talent is just declining all over the field. I mean, at quarterback, really since Trevor Lawrence. I mean, DJ Ugo, whatever, had a couple of great games, but other than that, for the large part, he sucked. Running back, Shipley's good, but I mean, he's not really ETN. Defensive line, you got a guy like Peter Woods, but other than that, nobody's really popping off the page.
He's only
Receiver, I'm sure he'll be a stud All-American in a couple years, but other than that, defensive line isn't really a great unit.
I think that's a really good point. I also think somewhere Clemson is dominated is wide receiver.
And there's nobody there. Yeah.
I mean, that's basically how they beat us in 2018 or 2019.
Renfro and
I mean, they had some jump
Central
balls.
Phoenix, Justin Ross, yeah.
They had some dudes.
Justin Ross, T. Higgins, Amari Rogers. They had a lot of talent there.
They really did. And now they're throwing shout out to Hamp Green at punt returner. But I mean, no Justin Ross. I mean, walk-on place kicker, and they missed a 29-yard field goal. I think there was really a dichotomy when you look at Florida State's team, which is like transfer galore. And I mean, to me, when I watched them versus LSU, like LSU's a really, really athletically talented team. Florida State looked legit, and Clemson hung in with them this past week, and I'll give them credit. They probably should have won the game, but I think the writing's on the wall that Coach Dabo and the Clemson Tigers, they need to adapt to the new NIL world and new world of the transfer portal and bring in the Jimmies and Joes necessary to compete like they used to.
So when Clemson's losing in a season 28-7 to Duke, you know a lot's wrong.
Yeah. Watching that game, they look like athletically, like there wasn't any gap that Duke game.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, if I'm a Clemson fan this year, I want to be really tuned in this off season before spring practice starts. See what kind of recruits they were going to, be signing, what they're going to do in the portal. Because I tell you what, if we get into spring practice and Dabo hasn't gotten any guys in the portal, then if I'm a Clemson fan, I'm going to be pissed when spring ball comes around.
Yeah. And speaking of another great segue, breaking in some Jimmys and Joes, and we got to preview or review the Colorado-Oregon game. Now, I don't know how much this podcast really got to watch it. Kuso, you might have had a better view at it because I didn't watch a damn second of that game, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. But, 42-0 to start the game, just unbelievable I mean, I'm not saying there was a party that expects it, but like that's the headline for.
Yeah, I mean I was watching the Bama game the whole time too. And I will say I really wasn't that surprised. And I'm on the side. I do love Dion, but damn, I was ready for them to get for the Buffaloes to get their ass whooped. I was the hype, the like 15 Bleacher Report notifications a day about like Travis Hunter's TikToks or whatever his YouTube feed. I'm a little tired of it, and I like Colorado being good. I like a little bit of geographical diversity with a powerhouse in the Midwest in college football, but they don't have the talent quite yet, especially on the line of scrimmage. And Oregon with Coach Dan Lanning has improved a lot, and really they're top 10, top 5 athletically in terms of just talent compared to the rest of the country. And I think the writing was kind of on the wall before this game.
Yeah.
Colorado still doesn't have the Jimmies and Joes to hang around with those kind of teams, so I wasn't surprised. I like the Dion story, the Colorado story, but I'm hoping it gets shussed a little bit over the coming weeks.
Y'all use the term Jimmys and Joes. I like the Dion term dogs and leaders. I don't think they quite have enough of those yet. Obviously, Travis Hunter being out is not going to help. I'm glad they lost. They were supposed to lose. And no matter what, though, he's taking them in the right direction. I'm a huge Dion fan. You never know what that guy's going to say. He's got all the confidence in the world for all the right reasons. But yeah, they don't have enough talent yet to really compete at the top. But as he said after the game, you better get us now because this is the worst we're ever going to be.
Damn right. I believe it too.
Doesn't get any easier for them. They got the big noon game on Saturday with USC coming in town and Caleb Williams. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they're gonna do.
Does anybody not think that that's gonna be another ass whooping?
The only reason I have the slightest bit of confidence in them covering the 21.5, I don't think they have a shot at winning, but to cover 21.5 is I can't trust USC's defense. I think Oregon actually has defensive talent. I think Dan Lanning's obviously a great defensive coach coming from Georgia, even being a GA at Alabama under Nick Saban. I think there's more points for both teams there than the 42 and 6.
Yeah, and off of that too, USC just struggled this weekend against probably one of the worst teams in the Pac-12 in Arizona State. Yeah, Arizona State has looked horrible all year long. And, USC's lucky to get to escape Tempe without taking an L on Saturday night. I know the score, they won by 2 touchdowns, but third quarter it was a really close game. It was getting interesting.
Watching a little bit of that game though, it's really obvious USC has ball players all over the field. At least at quarterback, we know that, but a receiver too. I mean, they've got some guys that are just fast, man.
Yeah, that's Zakarian Branch, the freshman. That guy can play.
He's tough.
On Sundays here in a few years.
Yeah, I don't think their defense is ready. Hit me.
Yeah, when you say they got guys, are you talking about defense too or just offense?
No, I'm talking about offense. I wasn't paying too much attention, but just kind of seeing a few guys with the ball in their hands on offense, I was like, wow, got some pop.
They're going through the Pac-12 because they're kind of low-key the story of the year right now. Kind of the second chance U conference right now. I mean, especially with the quarterbacks, you had Washington. Their offense is, granted, I say looking. Who has the Pac-12 network? We haven't got to see any of it, but I mean the scores and yards they're putting up is ridiculous right now. Putting up 59 again last week. They're averaging 49.75 a game. I mean, obviously getting a lot of Penn Heisman talk, and I saw again Joel Klatt had him second in the nation. Where do y'all like them? Y'all see them as a playoff contender, or just kind of like a early flash in the pan that once they get the schedule gets harder, they're going to get. What do y'all think?
I mean, I think they can definitely contend. I mean, obviously we said the Pac-12 is a little stronger, but it's still early in the year. I mean, I think it's kind of going to be really could be a 4-leg race once Cam Rising gets back with Utah, USC, Oregon, and Washington. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out. The Pac-12's made the playoff the least amount of time, so this could be another scenario where they all just go beat each other and everybody gets left out, or one can rise to the top. But I'll be looking forward to see that.
Yeah, Washington's looked really good. Candidly, I haven't actually watched any of their games yet. Just kind of looking at the box scores, it's eye-opening. I think they've scored like 40, 50 points every single game, and
Hmm.
other than some garbage points given up versus Cal, I
Yeah.
think their defense has been pretty stout too. Um, I don't know. I've already said this numerous times, but I don't know if Washington quite has the Jimmies and Joes on the line of scrimmage
Dogs
to
and
compete
That,
with some of these
that
top
might
dogs.
be podcast
Yeah, it
day.
might have to be honestly, but I think in terms of biggest players coming out of the Pac-12, I definitely think Oregon is probably the most legitimate. I'm not a big Bo Nix fan, but I know they have recruited really well, and I like Dan Lanning a lot. So I think in terms of a real competitor coming out of that conference, it's got to be the Ducks.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I think yeah, they're my Pac-12 favorite as of right now. I think they're going to win the Pac-12 and sneak into the playoff. I mean, dude, if you watch that game against Colorado, Colorado O-line could not protect Shador to save their life. Oregon's D-line was getting in the backfield almost every play when he was dropping back, and that was easily Shador's worst game of the year. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what Colorado does going forward. Doesn't get any easier next Saturday with USC, like we said earlier. And
yeah.
Oregon, they got Washington coming up, I think, in about 2 weeks. So they got an easy test this week with Stanford, but I think they got the Huskies coming
Yeah.
next. So that'll be interesting to see.
And quickly rounding out the Pac-12 before we get to my favorite story of college football this year and the Iowa offensive coordinator Brian Ferentz. But I mean, UCLA Utah ending 14-7 is such an interesting change of pace to what we've seen from the Pac-12 in a long time. Are either of those teams even on your radar? I mean, obviously Utah had a great game against Florida first year, but like, where do we see them stacking up?
I mean, I think UCLA is mid to lower tier of the Pac-12 there still. I don't think they've really risen to the top. I think they always get a little overrated to start the year, and I just don't think they have the talent to suffice there. I think Utah obviously is a legit threat. I mean, Cam Rising's still out, obviously. I'm not for sure when he's coming back, but I mean, they're the defending Pac-12 champions. So I mean, if they can get there with one loss and be 12-1, they'll be right there knocking on the door of the college football playoff.
Well, I don't know if we need to talk about UCLA and Utah too much more, but
Probably not.
last before we get into our next part of the show, I don't know if y'all been keeping up with it. Obviously, big podcast. I listen to Part of My Take. They talk about it all the time, and I love this story. Iowa offensive coordinator, son of head coach Brian Ferentz, and been under a lot of pressure the past couple of years. They wrote into his contract this year. If Iowa doesn't win 7 games and average 25 points, his contract is immediately terminated. And
I
this
didn't know
week,
that.
Yeah.
so last week there was a big story. They kept the ones in the whole game. Scored a last-second touchdown to put up 41 against a cupcake. This week, go goose egg, go down to 21.25 points a game, well below the target for him to keep his
Jeez
job.
Louise. That is actually crazy. I did
Yeah.
not know that.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
put
have
my
been
life
hearing about it.
savings. I put my life savings that they don't average over 25 points per game. I mean, they don't know what they're doing. They sit in I formation, run power O and inside zone all game, and they have a fine line, but it just doesn't work. Their quarterback can't throw the ball. Their receivers don't get open. It's
Yeah,
hard to
it's
watch.
sad because Iowa really does have a great program. Other than you have offensively actually on the
I
field,
mean,
they've
their
had a great
defense has
defense for
always been
years.
exceptional.
Yeah, they produce solid players. They have a few. They've been pumping out a
I
handful of
mean, yeah,
NFL
Tight
players over the
ends.
years.
Yeah,
they almost made it to the playoff one year too, when they played Michigan State in the Big Ten championship, and they were undefeated. And that was a game when that was the same year when Alabama throttled Michigan State. But
yeah,
yeah, it just stinks for Iowa. I feel bad for their fans. I mean, it's got to be tough just knowing that your offense, can't really put up points, every Saturday. And if I was a defensive coordinator for any of these teams playing Iowa, I would just love my job that week, game prepping for Iowa.
yeah. That's one where you're licking your chops because you know you're gonna look good no matter what you do. I mean, worst case scenario, they put up 31. Um, last game, I forgot we had one more. SEC, we had Arkansas at LSU. It ended up being an awesome game. Kind of shocked. I mean, I know Arkansas always has some in them, but I thought LSU would have done a lot of this. Didn't look crazy impressive, but it was a good game. Jaden Daniels still looks hot though. He went 20 for 29, 320, 4 touchdowns, 36 more on the ground. What do y'all think about the Tigers? They've had such an up and down season so far.
I didn't really get to watch much of the game because I was so locked in on that Notre Dame Ohio State game. Not for any betting reasons, of course, just because it was such a great game. But I mean, the line was 17.5 coming into the game, so it keeps me a little weary that it was only a 3-point victory. I know it's a rivalry game. Arkansas is definitely not bad. That should have been where the freest money all weekend, I guess. But I don't know. I think LSU's a good team, but I think they're kind of where they were in the later Les Miles years, where they're just kind of always around that 10 to 20 range, but just can never jump over the hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think for starters, Arkansas's been getting a lot of hate, or at least I've seen Arkansas getting a lot of hate.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're still a solid football team, at least above 500 football team that could show to be pretty dangerous going forward, especially with KJ Jefferson at the helm. But going on to LSU, yeah, I agree. I think going into this season, LSU is a little bit overhyped. I think beating a Bama team last year that, to be honest, was a little bit overrated, and a lot of our flaws were kind of saved by our hero Bryce Young. I think people got a little bit too high on the Tigers, but I do think that Jaden Daniels is really freaking good. Like he burned Bama last year, and he's looked incredible so far this year. I really think he should be the number one guy in the Heisman race. Same for me. I was focused on the Ohio State Notre Dame game. Didn't get to watch a ton of this one, but some of the balls I've seen just in highlights of Jaden Daniels have been beautiful, and obviously he's an incredible runner too. I'm worried about him and the LSU Tigers coming to Tuscaloosa in November. I will say though, I don't know what's going on with that defense. And then, watching that first game of the season versus Florida State, they really look kind of mismatched athletically in that game. And then, we've seen Florida State, obviously they're still undefeated, but we've seen them struggle against Boston College, and they really should have lost to Clemson this past weekend. I really don't know what to make of either team. It'll be really interesting to follow them over the next month or so before the big showdown in Bryant-Denny.
Mm-hmm.
One quick thing I wanted to add. Yeah, I was going to talk about Arkansas a little bit. I mean, coming before the LSU game, they had a bad home loss to BYU. I mean, do y'all see Arkansas kind of finishing, sixth in the West, with Mississippi State finishing last? That's where I have them at the end of the year. What do y'all think?
I got them at 5. I got Auburn down there at 6. I mean, that's the thing. Arkansas, I think, is a good team too. I think if you put them in the Big 12, Big 10 West, I think it is the one that's not Ohio State and them. I mean, I think they're a 9-win team right there, top 15 team in the country. But I mean, when you're in the stacked SEC, especially the SEC West, it's a grind every week.
Yeah, going back to what y'all said, not being able to see the game, YouTube TV's got to figure out a way to customize the quad box.
Yeah, 100%.
Having Ohio State and Notre Dame not be on any of the quad boxes was super frustrating. So I had to keep going back and forth. Fortunately, we had a good handle on the clicker, so I got to watch a little bit of that, a little bit of the USC game too. But yeah, when you got such a stacked slate like last week, that was really pissing me off. I like Jaden Daniels in the Heisman race right now. I mean, honestly, it's still going to be one of those races, in my opinion, where it's whoever's team is. I mean, I think there's like 8 to 10 guys who could win it right now, and it's just whoever's team ends up in the playoff, which it kind of sucks for that's how the Heisman's kind of gotten to be. Not saying that's how it is every year. That's just how it feels to me. But yeah, to me, like, I mean, I'm great, but if his team goes 8-4, he's not going to win the Heisman. Bo Nix could be great and all, but I mean, if they don't go to the playoff, nobody wants to back. So,
Bo Nix could throw for 10,000 yards, and he wouldn't earn my Heisman vote. That guy's not the best player in the country. I'll never get over watching him in Auburn. Jaden Daniels has my vote for right now. But there are a lot of ball players. I'm interested to see how it unfolds the rest of the season.
I saw on Sunday, Penix was now the new favorite to win the Heisman over
Yeah,
Caleb Williams.
Is
So,
he your
that's
favorite, Jimmy? Who's your favorite, Jimmy?
I mean, if Penix keeps it up and Washington wins the Pac-12, I think he deserves to win the Heisman. Why not, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been putting up ridiculous numbers. It just kind of sucks. He hasn't really played on a primetime stage yet, and not a lot of people really know what he's been capable of. So, I mean, you'll get his chances later on this year with Oregon, definitely. And, if they win the Pac-12 North, they'll probably likely face USC in the Pac-12 championship.
that game's gonna be awesome, Jen. But all right, switching gears a little bit. Uh,
Can I get my Heisman front runner real quick? Before
oh
we go
no,
there?
Let the man talk.
go ahead.
I got a guy who's already been effective in prime time and on the big stage, and I got Quinn Ewers as a leader right now. I think coming in Tuscaloosa like that, throwing for 350 yards and a few scores, looks very good. I think he's got a pretty easy run in the Big 12. It's probably other next opportunity for a big Heisman moment will be in the Red River rivalry. So I mean, if they can run the table and win the Big 12, I don't see how he doesn't win it. I think a big sleeper, another game Bragg skipped over, is Washington State's Cameron Ward. My guy's been going off right now. He's got 1390 passing yards, 13 tutties, 0 interceptions on 74.6% completion rate. And they've knocked off 2 top 25 teams already in Wisconsin and Oregon State. It's the team that absolutely no one is talking about, who's probably got one of the top resumes right now. 5 wins, 4 weeks in
That
the
would
year.
be hilarious if they won the Pac-12 championship
I mean,
last
I don't
year.
think it's too realistic, but I love what they're doing right
Yeah.
now. Cameron Ward, you probably don't know, transferred from, I probably will say it wrong, but Incarnate Ward. It's a FCS school. So I mean, he's transferred from FCS and he's tearing up college football right now at the FCS level.
Yeah, there's a lot of undefeated teams in the Pac-12 right now, and it's not going to stay that way for long. So I'm interested to see who
Yeah,
starts falling.
fun to talk about now though.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't even know if I have a Pac-12 team in my Final Four, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, this happens every year to them. I mean, there's a reason. Granted, I don't think they've had as many good teams, but usually their inability to have one great is what's held them back. Well, I'm sorry for there, Harris. As we move on to winners and losers, you go ahead and lead us off.
Winners and losers. Now I've been waiting for this. So my winner of the week is going to be Ricky Pearsall out of Florida with the Odell S. catch into traffic while being able to hold on the ball. If you haven't seen that yet, I suggest you watch it. That was one of the best catches I've ever seen, and while getting hit. I mean, that's hard to do right there. That's damn near impossible.
Yeah.
My loser of the week is going to be the Minnesota Golden Gophers. In a game that Minnesota was absolutely dominating Northwestern 31-10 heading into the fourth quarter, was just the biggest lack of effort I've ever seen over the span of the game. Allowed Northwestern to come back and tie the game on the last play of regulation, and then they lost in overtime 37-34. And I mean, this is Northwestern we're talking about. Like, they're the laughing stock of college football all offseason.
That's a
Yo,
good
one quick
one.
thing about that game, Harris. Did you see where Minnesota punted the ball and one of their gunners was standing in the end zone and the
Oh, yeah, it's
ball
like the
rolled to
last
him?
punt of the game. It was before
Yeah,
Northwestern's 80-yard drive to tie the game.
He
He's
was
trying to field
standing
the
in the
ball
end zone.
and lets it bounce in the
yeah,
end zone. He catches it, and then he looks up he's like, "Oh shit, I'm in the
He's
end zone."
thinking he
He's
made a
like 5
play.
yards deep. What are we doing?
yeah. I do want to ask one quick question though. What do y'all think about PJ Fleck? I mean, he took Western Michigan to a New Year's Six bowl, but at Minnesota he hasn't really done too much. I mean, he had that one good year when they upset at Penn State and they played Wisconsin in game day. But yeah, he hasn't been to a Big Ten championship or anything yet. Hasn't really done
Yeah,
too much there. So, what are y'all's
I,
opinions on him?
I'll say this: it's time for him to shed the suit, man. He needs to loosen up a little bit. College
Yeah,
football is not a suit wearing affair. He needs to throw on the hoodie, throw on the sweats, and get out there and loosen up a little bit. I
I
know he's in the.
saw Charlotte's head coach. He used to be a hedge fund manager, and he's out there coaching football games in a sleeveless T-shirt. Don't even look
Cool.
up that guy if you haven't seen him. That guy's an
Embrace
animal.
the culture.
We need to see Saban in the sleeveless tee. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I think I'd hammer us any spread that game if he comes out in the sleeveless.
Yeah, my biggest winner is Dan Lanning. First of all, he gets recorded giving an absolutely badass pregame speech. I mean, he's getting his boys pepped up, and he is talking the Colorado Buffaloes. And honestly, I thought it was beautiful. I loved it. He had some haters on Twitter and the social media sphere, but I thought it was a great speech, and he definitely did the job. Curb stop Colorado and Dion, and biggest point for me is he really became the fan favorite to replace the GOAT in Tuscaloosa once he inevitably retires.
I don't know. I think Dion's a close fan favorite.
You know,
That's a conversation for a different time, though.
Yeah.
yeah, for another time, but I thought he was pretty impressive, and at least in my book, I'd like to see Dan Lanning behind the helm.
No, I'm
And
with
then
you
my
there.
biggest loser is Hugh Freeze and the Auburn family. You lose on the road at A&M, 27-10. The scoreboard really doesn't tell the full story here. Hugh Freeze's famous high-flying passing offense produced a whopping 56 yards on 9 of 23 passing, and that's two different quarterbacks, and those are full game stats. This was the worst passing performance by Auburn in 7 years, and to make things worse, Auburn statistically has the worst passing offense in the entire SEC. And after Tyler Buckner and Ty Simpson's incredibly bad performances versus South Florida, I don't know how Bama's not at the bottom. But yeah, biggest loser for me, not even close, is Hugh Freeze and the Auburn family.
Yeah, I thought that after the USF game, I think a lot of us were losing some hope. I was finding a lot of my hope in how bad Auburn is. And this last weekend to have us play so well and them play so bad, it just made this season, just about 10 notches up on how I'm feeling right now. So I would definitely that way.
Here are your winners and losers of the league, Brad.
All right, so my winner, they're is at the Bama game. I'm guessing they didn't catch it on TV. But it was
They didn't fully catch it. I will say that. I seen it play.
was Dixieland Delight. Everybody knows. First time out of the fourth quarter, we get Dixieland Delight going. They put 2:20 on the clock and play it, and clock starts winding down, about to come back from commercial, and I think the whole stadium could kind of sense where it was going. Like the chorus is winding down. There's 5 seconds left. We're putting her up against the wall, and then the clock fades out, and then just the perfect, beat Auburn with uncensored, full volume of the whole student section, a cappella, just like rings through the stadium. I mean, I was laughing, having the best time ever. Put so much energy into the stadium. Kind of got a little bit of a throwback without, the speakers drowning everybody out. I mean, could not have been a better moment, especially at that time in the game.
I'm sure there's got to be a video of it somewhere on social media.
Oh, yeah.
What's your biggest loser, Bragg?
My loser is the family jewels. This week was maybe the most hilarious thing I've seen this whole football season. USC game. Caleb Williams going up to tell his center something before the snap, and and he gets about 2 feet from the center. Center snaps it back as hard as he can, just straight to the stones. Caleb Williams, they call like a false start or something. Caleb Williams is writhing in pain on the ground for like 5 minutes. The announcers can't contain themselves. Such a hilarious moment. 2 plays go by. Caleb throws a pass to a wide receiver. He looks like he might break for a touchdown. Then we get now kind of popular punch out by the linebacker, who punches the ball straight to the wide receiver's nuts. He goes down for like another 2 minutes. They finally get him off the field. The next play, third time in 5 plays, running back gets a straight crown of a helmet to his nuts on the ground again. I've never seen anything like it. 3 players just like straight nut shot within 5. Absolutely.
That sums up USC's team for me right there. Just
Oh
fucking
yeah.
absurd like that happening.
Yeah. And then on
Yeah,
the flip side, Joe
California boys.
and leads to maybe the most electric moment of Alabama's season so far. Everybody saw the video. Him getting up after an obscure injury and fist bumping, got the full 100,000 nuts. That was an awesome moment.
And then I guess I'll do my winners and losers of the week. I'm gonna start with the losers, and I think Shiloh Sanders. He's a big L this week. He had a good game last week against Colorado State, had the pick six, but comes in pregame, and obviously all of us have seen it on social media. Starts talking all this crap before the game, stumping on the O pregame, and then he just winds up just playing terribly defensively. Ends up, getting hit so hard in the kidney, he unfortunately got hurt and resulted, in Colorado getting blown out like we talked earlier. So he's my biggest loser of the week. Just doing all that talking and just getting out physical and end up getting hurt, but hopefully gets back on the field. It's fun watching Dion's kids play. Um, but my biggest winner, y'all might kind of disagree with me on this a little bit, but I really like Drew Aller at Penn State. He doesn't put up insane numbers, but he manages the game well. Like I said earlier in the podcast, they don't turn over the football, and I think they finally got a guy at quarterback who's capable enough, to put up a really good fight and provide a big upset, hopefully against Michigan or Ohio State to try to, push them to that playoff point.
Yeah, going on to our next segment. We got the MVPs. Jimmy, why don't you start us off? Who'd you like? And we're talking only tie from here until we make our picks. So we got to lock in on the pod right now. This is the reason we made the podcast. This is the reason you're all here watching.
Oh yeah,
Over here.
I'm gonna do an obvious one, and then I got another MVP that a lot of people don't really talk about. I think played really well. And so obviously Jalen Milroe is my obvious MVP. All week long, he's been known as the starter. People were anticipating him to have a big game. He delivered when he needed to. Had a huge second half. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but when he had that touchdown pass and he was laying out on the ground, and then he got up and pumped up the crowd and gave a big swinging fist pump. Bryant Denny was electric. It was so loud, and that just completely changed the mojo of the game. And that's when I knew I was like, the standard's back. Like, we're not going to let Kiffin run in here and beat us. Um, but another player who played really well when our offense wasn't doing well, I'm going to talk about the special teams. James Burnup punted a hell of a game.
Him and
Ole
Mack
Miss,
are our best players this
yeah.
year.
He's an NFL punter.
Oh,
Right.
yes. I loved how he played. I mean, Ole Miss started the ball back, so far deep in territory, and especially with an offense like Lane Kiffin does, that just puts a major advantage for Alabama. So, yeah, Burnup, he's my sneaky MVP, especially in the first half when offensively we couldn't get anything clicking. Having Ole Miss start, past the 20-yard line, just made it huge for our defense to get out on the field and not give Ole Miss, any great field position.
I'll go ahead and go just to make sure y'all don't take mine because it relates to Jimmy's and both of his reestablishing standard and special. I love Ja'Cory Brooks and the play he made. Obviously didn't end up being the best outcome in a touchdown, but Ja'Cory, obviously one of our top targets the past couple of years, expected to have this could have been his year type thing, but he has not gotten on the field a bunch. He has not really played very well. Um, and something that you're pleasantly surprised by nowadays is a guy really get the team player attitude and him going out there and making a hell of a play on special teams, and then was rewarded later in the game with a few snaps on offense too. I thought was something that was awesome to see, something that Todd has done throughout the dynasty, and to see that happen, I felt like that was a great thing for the team to kind of, like James was saying, reestablish the standard, get the mindset back that it's for the Tide and not deal.
I agree, Bragg, and I don't think we've seen the last of Ja'Cory Brooks. We've got a lot of important games left on the slate, and I think he's going to make some big and timely plays coming down the stretch. He's a ball player.
I agree. It's nice to see him making an impact somewhere not at his starting position because he could be down a little bit after his snaps have been reduced the last year or so. But just being able to make a big impact there and keep his confidence up, I think that's huge. So I guess I'll move on next to my MVP. I got the edge rushers here, mainly Dallas Turner, but Chris Braswell as well. Braswell had a sack and a half with Dallas. Turner winning college football defensive player in the week with 2 sacks, 3.5 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. It's something we didn't see against Texas where we had like 2 quarterback hurries the whole game. Tonight or on Saturday we had 5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. I thought they were great. If we can just keep that pass rush presence, I think teams will have a very hard time scoring on us at all times.
They were animals. That was it felt good. It felt good to see those boys get after the quarterback like that.
I feel like it's been kind of a while too. I feel like last year we didn't really see, our D line getting much push and pressure on the quarterback with blitz schemes, and it was really fun on Saturday just watching us against a very good offensive team and Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart just literally just getting sacks in the backfield and knocking his helmet off. It was fun to watch a very physical defense, just like the old days, we grew up loved and watching.
Yeah, I felt like it was like November of 2015, watching Jackson Dart crawling around with grass-stained jerseys. Yeah, you got one edge rusher with like 2.5 sacks. Is he really? I didn't even know that.
He is. I'll tell you what, he looks a lot different than he used to. I didn't even recognize him until someone told me it was him. I'm like, no fucking shit.
He's probably got some battle scars from what the Tide defense did to him back in the day.
He's got like 47,000 tattoos as well. Not expecting.
All right, well, I'll cap things off with my offensive and defensive MVP. On offense, I'm gonna tell you, I was gonna go with Caden Proctor here for a second. Then I thought about it, and truthfully, he wasn't the MVP.
He might be.
He would have been a good fit
for the game.
Yeah, he's most improved. I'll give him that. And really, offensively, our MVP is Tyler Booker, and I think he's the MVP of the offense for sure. And he might be the most valuable player of the whole team. After seeing maybe the most dysfunctional offensive line performance in the history of the Saban era last week with Tyler Booker out, and then comparing that to this week, which wasn't a phenomenal performance, but it was much improved and definitely a step in the right direction. I think that really showed just how important Tyler Booker is. Coach Saban has told us that Tyler Booker is really the leader of the offensive line. He's the communicator, and I've heard from people in the program that Caden Proctor has no idea what he's doing without Tyler Booker in the lineup. And, without Caden Proctor knowing what the plays are, we're absolutely screwed, and that just proves Tyler Booker's importance even more. And the run game was better. And I really didn't think Milroe was pressured that much all day. He got hit a few times, but he was also holding on to the ball a little bit too much than would probably be optimal, but it's all good. I thought he improved as well. Overall, I think Tyler Booker is a stud and really glad to have him back in the lineup. And then defensively, he doesn't really get all the hype in the secondary like the newcomer Caleb Downs and then Kool-Aid McKinstry and even Terrion Arnold have been getting lately, but I think Malachi Moore is just solid. He didn't do anything crazy versus Ole Miss, but the man just rock solid. He does the little things right every game. He wraps up, he hits hard, he plays tight coverage, and he's a leader and a communicator. Yeah, he's our leader, and he's been playing for 5 years now, and I really think he might be our best player on our team, and I really enjoyed watching him improve over the years, really since high school, and I'm glad that we have him back there, and he came back for his senior year. And those are my 2 MVPs. I thought they're both had great performances. and they've been playing great all year.
Yeah, Kusa, that was my biggest takeaway from the game and really the whole season so far. Our one consistent uh, group right now to me is the DBs. I think this DB group is insane. I mean, even without a pass rush for most of the year, they have been clamping everybody. I mean, like you were saying, we're 4 or 5 deep on not only NFL guys, probably top 3 round minimum NFL guys. I mean, Caleb Downs, it could end up being a top 5 pick. He's so damn good as a freshman. Kool-Aid, I think, is in the conversation with Surtain to be the best corner we've ever had, especially on the outside. Terrion been incredibly improved. I think this group, texting y'all during the game, I would put them up there with any of the groups we've had. I think they're a top 3 minimum. From outside to safety to star, I think that this group, I mean, is ridiculous, and there's nothing better than watching some good DBs. I'd love to see a few more, ball hunting and more Eddie Jackson returns on some of these. Terry did have a sweet spin move, but yeah, I mean, I love watching the boys out there cover. I mean, anytime there's a Kool-Aid, you just know it's incomplete. I mean, it's so fun to watch.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
thought one big sleeper that we haven't talked about is the way Jalen Hill came in and played too as a true freshman. I mean, he only had 2 catches for 63 yards, both big catches. I mean, the first one got wide open across the defense. He's got explosiveness. He can jump high. I mean, on that deep ball, he was open, but he also still had to go up and make a play on it. Made a good play, kept the feet in bounds. I think he could be very key for our receiving group as he can stretch the field for us. But I think that's obviously the best we've seen our team play to date this year, and I was proud of them for that.
Yeah, and talking about the receivers a little bit more, they got so much hate last year, and I thought they were a good group last year. I thought the problem was that we really couldn't establish the run game. Receivers couldn't get any separation, and there was a lot of talk about our receivers having a lot of drops this past summer and in the spring. I think they've been great this year, and I mean, I can definitely see that they probably gotten a little bit of frustration with our quarterback was, but I don't remember any key drops or bad blocking. There've been a couple penalties, but I think receivers have been fantastic, and I think they're really a strength of our team going forward. Another group that got a lot of hate last year, really the past 2 or 3 years, has been like the interior of our D line, and I think deservedly so. Like, we really haven't gotten any interior pressure in a couple of years, and this year too, the first few games, interior of the D line was nowhere to be found. The run defense has been great, but in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback from the interior, Tim Smith, Justin Boygby, Tim Keenan, really hadn't been much going. But this past week, I really haven't heard them get a ton of praise, but there was very noticeable pressure from the interior, pushing the pocket, helping helping Braswell and Dallas Turner really make some moves and stunts along the front. And that was really encouraging for me to see because it's been a long time. I'm hoping it'll continue going forward because I really think that's the key to our defense being an all timer is having that interior pressure.
Gotta
But
win the trenches.
yeah, you got to win the trenches. So big shout out there. I'm hoping to see those guys eat going forward.
Yeah, I think we need to start. Our offense is still coming along, but as we get into road games, with going to the state and going to A&M and playing and starting to play in hostile environments, I think our offense needs to start a little bit quicker in the first half. I kind of hope that we can get some touchdowns in the first half against Mississippi State this upcoming Saturday. Um, because if our defense, they really kept us in the game. I mean, our offense couldn't really do anything first half, and ever since that first drive in the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss didn't do anything offensively. So I've been really impressed with our defense. I think it's one of the best defenses we've had in a very long time. We have a lot of dogs all around the field. Like you were saying earlier,
Yeah,
I do
right.
think this is one of the best secondary groups we have. But for our offense, with State coming up, I don't think State's all that talented, but it's gonna be a tough place to play. Tough place to play. It's gonna be loud. There's gonna be cowbells. It's an 8 p.m. kick, and we need our offense to start off right and try to put up some touchdowns in the first half rather than just having Will Reichert kick field goals for us all first half.
He's carrying my college football fantasy team right now. He's been great so far. It's 4 games through the year.
Not what we want, though.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, I'll sacrifice. I'll sacrifice my fantasy team for the Tide to play a little better.
You're right, Jimmy. That Mississippi State can be a tough place to play, especially. I mean, we played very well. We went up and down the field way more than I'd like to, but I mean, we still have not completed drives very well. And on the road in the SEC, that's not a habit you want to get into.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 5 touchdowns called back this year due to penalties, and 5 touchdowns all in the last 3 games too. So excluding the first one, I mean that's pretty bad. I hope that we don't have another one of those, but we still have things to clean up for sure. I'm excited for Mississippi State because I think this is Milroe's first career road start ever in a tough environment versus a solid team, not a great team. So I think this is a great first step for him. Starting, like you said, with the cowbell, it's going to be loud in there. Everyone's give Bama his best shot. So I think this is a great opener for him before we hit the road again next week to play at Texas A&M.
Yeah. Offense has to build off our performance this past week. The second half of this past week versus Ole Miss. We can't go back to South Florida or to Texas. We got to improve. The run game's got to improve. Can't have those mistakes. We can't have the McLaughlin snap over Milroe's head from the 1. We can't have 10 negative plays in the first half. We can't have the penalties. We can have some, but we got to cut down. It's got to get a little bit better because going to College Station in 2 weeks is going to be a serious test, and we've got to be ready.
Yeah, so before we wrap up Mississippi State, we're going to do this every week. This, along with our picks for the rest of the country, get a point system to be determined to who's the best picker for the year. But I want to hear y'all's score prediction. Got to get to the top.
I guess I'll start us off first. I'll go. I got us winning 34-13. I think we covered 14.5. I think they hadn't scored a touchdown on us it was like in 2 years, and they got one on like the last play of the game last year. I think they were able to get another one here and a couple field goals. I'll look for us to have 4 touchdowns and, of course, a couple of record field goals when we get stopped down near the red zone.
Jimmy, what you think?
I think my score prediction for this week, I think I can see like being a 24-6, 24-7 game. I'll say 24-6.
I battled with one around there.
Yeah. Offensively, until I see it, I just think we're still going to start off a little slow. Coming into Starkville, especially with the first road test, I think it's going to be really close in the first half, but eventually in the second half, I think we'll be settled in. I think we got more talent on both sides of the ball, and we got more, talent on the trenches, and I think we're just better all around the field. We got better coaching, and I think in the second half we'll start pulling away and, get a nice, comfortable win. But I think our defense is really going to shine, and I really don't think State's gonna be able to score a touchdown on us, but we'll see. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with both of you guys. It may be wishful thinking, but I really think our offense picked up some momentum and confidence this past week, especially Jalen Miller on the offensive line and our running game as well. I think we're going to continue to improve. I think it's the first time, but I think we're going to eclipse 150 yards rushing on the ground this upcoming week, and I think our defense is going to contribute its first scoring play of the season. And
I love that prediction.
I can't believe our defense hasn't scored yet. I don't think it's because we don't have ball hawks or playmakers that haven't been aggressive enough. I really just think it's came down to some bad luck. So I definitely think we're going to score at least once on defense. I wouldn't be surprised if it's twice. And then got a little stat for you guys. Bama's won 15 straight against Mississippi State with 13 of the last 15 being by at least 15 points. I think it's going to be another one of those 15-point wins again on Saturday. Tide rolls 38-13 in Starkville. Offense has its best performance of the season and picks up some momentum heading into College Station 2 weeks.
Yeah, I love the non-offensive touchdown I think that's something that really could get the boys fired up, get me fired up too. I'm gonna take a touchdown off both of the sides. I'm going 31-6. Just
I
sounds like
like
a Mississippi
that.
State Bama score to me.
I love
I
that.
think I think
I
we're
do
gonna
too.
a couple more drives. I agree with Jimmy. I don't think they get a touchdown on us. I think it's one of those 17-3 at halftime type games. But I think we do need to start fast. I think letting this be, you know, 6-3 at halftime is just not where we want to be. Um,
No.
but I'm comfortable about this game. I think it's a good way to get our first road test as we kind of start this SEC gauntlet for the rest of the year.
I
I
like it.
agree. We
All
don't
right,
want a
let's.
7-6 at halftime or 6-3.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
gotta get it. Like, I want to see two first half touchdowns.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
Yeah.
agree.
That's a good goal. I like
yeah.
that.
All right. Well, with that being said, I think we roll into our picks for the week. All right, we're gonna start with Utah, Oregon State. I think we kind of make it a little quick. You know, get a little analysis, but try to keep it short.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll go Utah, Oregon State. You know, originally I had written down that I had Utah winning this one in a close one with even with Cam Rising, obviously being a great team all around. But I think I'm changing. I got Oregon State at home on Friday night.
I like Utah actually. I don't know. Is Cam Rising out or is he back or what?
I don't think they know yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't
don't know.
matter. Doesn't really matter to me here. I think Utah's got the Jimmies and Joes. I still don't believe in Oregon State yet.
If
I'm
Cam
going
Rising
Utah.
plays, I will change my answer. But until then, I got them. All right, Bragg.
Um, I like the DJ in this one. I know Utah's monster not on Saturday. You don't want to catch them on a weekday this year, but I like the idea of DJ Uyunglele having some eyes on him on Friday night. Clemson's struggling. He gets a chance to show the world that he can win a game before they can have a comeback dub. I feel like this is setting up. I wanted to get an underdog out there too. I like Oregon State.
Yeah, I guess that leads to me for this last pick. If Cam Rising's playing, I really like Utah, but if he's not, I like Oregon State. Utah hasn't had a tough road test yet. They beat Florida and UCLA both at home. It's going to be, Corvallis is going to be hostile on a Friday night. You got a big time program in Utah. He's won the Pac-12 in the past 2 years coming in town. And I think DJ, shows out on Friday night. And yeah, they kind of need this win. I mean, they got the L last week against Washington State. This to be a good bounce back win for them.
Yeah, I
Nice.
think
You're
we
taking
can.
Oregon State.
I think we can expect a low scoring game in that one, especially after watching Utah last weekend.
If I'm
I
not
don't know.
mistaken, I think Oregon State's favored by
Yeah,
Vegas
I
on
think they
Friday
might
night.
be. I think they're 3 point favorites. Vegas knows. I mean, that's when you know. That's when you know you probably should be wrong with Oregon State. Those guys aren't wrong too often, and when they are, they're not too far off.
Harris, what we got next?
All right, next we got USC at Colorado. I mean, I think this is a given. I think we're going USC across the board here. I am at least. I think Colorado can cover the spread. Not a shot they win. I think we got a high scoring game with a lot of points, a lot of big plays, and very few punts in this one. Kiso?
Yeah, completely agree. I think the bigger questions, do they cover or not? I
Yeah.
think USC is going to win this game, like probably 59-28. I feel pretty good about that score. I think you could probably flip a coin. It's that score or something else. I like that score a lot.
I was gonna pick Colorado, but I like that score too much.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But,
Jimmy,
I mean, y'all nailed it on the head. I think USC is going to take care of business. Colorado's just a little too banged up. They don't have those dudes on the line to really protect Shador. And I think Caleb's just going to have a field day throwing the ball against that Colorado defense. And but yeah, I'm excited to watch. I'll definitely be tuning in, probably watching the whole game. And I love Gus and Joel on ding ding kickoff. They bring energy. So yeah, but I think USC I think it'd be close in the first half a little bit, but I think USC just has far superior talent at this point, and I think they will handle business in the second half and pull away, and I think they'll win and cover.
I like it. All right, next up we got
Well,
Georgia. Oh, you got any closing thoughts over there?
made my official selection. Is Hunter playing?
Travis,
No.
no, he's not. He
No,
wants to,
he-
but Prime won't let him. He knows there's bigger things in this game coming up for that guy.
Hey, let's do these last few against the spread.
Okay.
Everybody's-
We got 4 more to go. Okay, so
I will say I'm gonna officially pick USC. I got a scary feeling. Don't like this feeling. I think Caleb Williams ACL second quarter. I'm gonna call my.
can't believe you're praying for someone to get injured now.
I'm
Now
not.
you're like, now you want it to happen. Just so you can say I told you so. This is ridiculous.
It's gut feeling.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone predict an injury like that.
I mean, USC fans,
quarter too.
USC fans, if Caleb Williams gets hurt on Saturday, y'all know who to hunt down and track.
Yeah.
That'd be Jack Bragg.
Bragg officially wins the pick'em for the whole season if he gets his prediction right.
100%.
Gotta get our viral clip of the podcast. Oh, yeah. Throw that out there.
That's fair. I like it. All right, next up, we got Georgia at Auburn. I think we can go against the spread here. Y'all might have to check me. It's either,
17.
I think 17 and a half, 17 straight up. We'll just call it
We'll
17.
call it 17 straight up.
All right. I said I'll be very surprised if Auburn gets a touchdown. I mean, very, very, very surprised they get more than one in this one. I expect us to go under the total. I got Georgia winning 31-6.
Ooh. What
You
time?
know,
2:30 CBS.
Yeah.
it's game of the week. I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna take Auburn and the points. I like the home field advantage in Jordan Hare. I do believe in Hugh Freeze's offensive mind, and after the absolute piss poor showing in College Station last week, I think he's gonna throw the kitchen sink at the Bulldogs. I think one thing came out of their Big L to Texas A&M last week, and that was figuring out that Robbie Ashford is definitely the answer. You got to at least have his feet, if anything, going forward. And I think they'll scheme a few plays that can possibly get them in field goal range and put a few points on the board. And I don't really believe in Georgia's offense thus far, and I did like some of the things I saw at Auburn's defense this past week. Offense just really didn't play complimentary football, so I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair, maybe like a 21-10 kind of game, 24-10. Auburn covers at home.
I guess I'll go next. For me personally, it all matters who Auburn's really going to put at quarterback, like Kuso said. I don't think Peyton Thorne is that guy. Really, I mean, there's a reason he got pulled in the A&M game. He hasn't really impressed me too much at all this year. If he walks out on the field in the first quarter and plays the first half, then I'm slamming, Georgia, covering spread easy. But, if Robbie's playing and they announce him starting, then I really like Auburn plus the points. I mean, Jordan Hare is a hostile environment, and Georgia, they haven't really had a true tough road test yet. I mean, this is their first true road game. They started slow at home against South Carolina, but I do think South Carolina's a little bit better of a team than Auburn is right now. So I'm going to say if Peyton Thorne walks out on the field and starts for Auburn on Saturday, I can see Georgia winning this game 27-3 or 27-6. I'll go 27-3.
So what's your pick, Jimmy? You taking
Georgia.
Auburn?
I'm taking
Against Georgia, he's going 27-3.
Yeah, I like Georgia.
All right.
Close this out here.
I like to take Jim going with. I'm not gonna leave it up to just stupid. I feel like Auburn could be the play. They just are so unimpressive. The Auburn friends that I have are just already done with the team. I have a feeling that they could fold quickly if Georgia starts fast. And I don't. Maybe if it was at night, a little bit more weird shit could happen. But I don't know. I think Georgia ends up going off second half. I think it's like a 41-7.
Sorry, I had to place my McFlurry order there. Grant and Tim are making a little run real quick. What was your score prediction? I missed that part. Who do you have, Georgia Auburn? I don't need the
Seven.
analysis, just the score.
I think I think Auburn could hang in there, but I think as soon as Georgia gets a little bit of a lead, that Auburn's going to fold. And I think that since Georgia's been a good second half team, they're going to win and
So
win
you got Georgia minus the points.
by a lot.
All
All
right,
right.
I'm
Well,
the only Auburn.
I
I'm the
think
only
the
one
lock of the
riding for
week
the
might.
Auburn family.
I think the lock of the week might be the under in that one. I hate both offenses, and you
Yeah.
gotta love Georgia's defense, Auburn's defense. I'm sure they're fine. They're usually all
What
right.
is the under?
I think 47. Um, you can let us know that total. We're going to move on to the LSU Ole Miss game. Now, this game's the toughest one for me to pick. It's at Ole Miss. I think LSU is 3-point favorites here. Um, I just don't think Ole Miss is it yet. I mean, I think they're like an 8-4 team, and I think this is their second loss back to back. I know they're coming off a tough loss at Alabama. They'd love to bounce back, but I think LSU is just a little better. I think they get by in a close one. I could see this being a 3 or 4 point win for LSU.
Yeah, I agree. I saw a stat on Lane Kiffin this past week. He's like 19-1 versus opponents that have finished with 8 wins or more in his head coaching career. That might be his Ole Miss coaching career, but either
Like you
way.
mean 1-19?
Yeah, 1-19.
I
Excuse
was
me.
about
Excuse
to
me.
say,
Yeah.
we,
Say
Well,
we
he's no, he's 1-19. That's absolutely abysmal. I don't think anything changes today. I don't think they're able to keep up with Jaden Daniels' running ability or his passing ability with Malik Neighbors outside. LSU's defense doesn't seem to be spectacular, but I think they should be able to bottle up the Ole Miss offense we saw this past week versus Alabama. I think LSU covers and covers handedly.
Yeah, it's a tough start for Ole Miss. I mean, they're getting two of the biggest dogs in the West back-to-back weeks. I mean, with the L here, that basically I think they're kind of puts them out of the SEC West title race. But I agree
100%.
with y'all. I think LSU is the better football team. I think it's gonna be a really close game, just because it's in Oxford. Early Saturday night game. Fans gonna be riled up. I think it's gonna be really close at half. I wouldn't be surprised if Ole Miss is winning at halftime. But I just don't think Ole Miss's defense is gonna be able to stop Jaden Daniels and Ole Miss's offense wasn't really that impressive to me against Alabama. I know Alabama has, one of the best defenses in the SEC right now, but LSU, the defense is obviously not as good as Bama's, but they're still a pretty solid defensive team. And yeah, I like LSU. I think like a 34-31 kind of win on
Another
the road in Oxford.
34-31 victory.
Did
That's
are
you
you
say
saying?
34-31? I didn't even.
no, but I
Are you,
think isn't that what the score of their game was against Arkansas?
yeah. Are you saying
Yeah.
they put?
I guess so. I
Yeah,
mean, I think
I
only 3 or 4 point win. I can very see Vegas.
Jimmy keeps giving these half answers on the pick 'em.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta.
If Jaden Daniels plays, then I'm taking LSU.
Well, I mean that's true about the Auburn game. I mean, if Peyton Thorne walks out on the field, Auburn's going to get slapped. I mean,
I
he's not going to do anything. Robbie Ashford provides so much more energy on that
All
Auburn
right,
offense.
Jimmy, what's your LSU pick? You taking LSU
Yeah.
-3?
I mean,
Alright,
I think it's going to push.
He's
I think it's
going
gonna
for the
push.
ultimate push, which
If
I
the
All right,
push is come back to
I'm
here.
marking you down as a push, and you get 2 if it hits.
Everyone
Yeah.
gets their money back.
No, Jimmy gets like 5 if
He's
it
saying
pushes.
he's saying to buy half the point either way you're betting. You want Ole Miss buy half the point, LSU buy half the point.
I don't hate that, James. I will say I like Ole Miss a little bit this game. I think three's an unfair line to be able to choose them. I think LSU thinks they're a better team than they've been playing, and I think they're gonna want to prove that this weekend. Almost kind of got in a bad spot where they're getting 2 teams back to back weeks, so I think are kind of in that same position where they really like want to have a staple game. At least they have it at home, so maybe something could happen. But I like LSU. I think this one could get away from Ole Miss if they're not careful. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking LSU for sure this one.
I think we go LSU across the board there.
Yeah,
I
we
think
did. Well,
so.
Jimmy went for the push for
So,
five
oh, my
bonus
Yeah.
bad, my
points.
bad. Sorry, to win the game, we all got LSU at least. All right, moving on. We got Notre Dame at Duke. Notre Dame is 5.5 point favorites here. I personally think this is a game Notre Dame wins by 10 to 17 points. I think Duke's already had their big home victory of the year, beating Clemson. I think Notre Dame can come out a little flat. I expect it to be kind of a little sloppy start for them, with them really kicking into gear in the second half and kind of pulling away from this one. I just think they have more talent, a little better
It's a
coaching.
5.5 point spread. Wow.
Yeah, I
Well,
got
shout
Notre
out
Dame.
Duke though, getting their first ever college game day ever for football.
I
So
saw I heard that today.
Oh, dude, I didn't realize that. That's
yeah,
sweet.
They probably had 1,000 in college basketball, but
oh yeah. Every time they play UNC at home, they get game day.
okay, this is the first game, even home or away, Duke's been on it. It's like not even just host, but even been the road team for one. Never happened. Pretty cool.
You know
Coos,
what? I'm
who's
gonna go
wrong with?
against the grain here, and I'm gonna go with the Blue Devils at home. I watched pretty much the whole game when they played Clemson, and I was really impressed with their athletes. They looked like a legit uh, top top of the ACC contender.
Yeah,
They manhandled Clemson, who hung in there with Florida State, who beat LSU. So transitive property, I think they're legit, and I think Notre Dame's going to win outright. But I like it to be a really close game, especially at home, and I'm taking Duke in the points.
I like that.
I like that pick. I mean, Mike Elko's a great coach. What he's done at Duke has been
Yes.
unreal.
And shout out Fairhope, Alabama quarterback. He's an absolute stud. What's his name again?
Riley Leonard.
Yeah,
Riley Leonard. He's gonna make some plays.
Yeah,
he
that
can
guy
make
can
plays with
ball.
his feet too. I mean, I you know, I I think I think Duke covers, but Notre Dame wins. I just, after just a tough game last week with Ohio State come down the wire, I think they're going to be ready to come out and play. But Duke's going to keep this a really close ball game. But I just think Notre Dame has a little bit more talent on the inside with the line, and I really like Sam Hartman, and I think Duke will cover plus 5.5, but Notre Dame's going to sneak out a win um, in Durham.
I have very similar analysis. Jim. I think I think Notre Dame they put too much into that game. I mean, that green out, that game day, they had everything. I think going on the road to a team that wants nothing more than to put on a show for the rest of the country. I think even though they're not an insane team, it's a little bit of a buzzsaw opponent. I think Duke gets the points. I think there's never a second in this game where they're not covering. I think Notre Dame could end up winning, but I think this is a gross one for Notre Dame. I think their fans are going to want to turn it off, give up hope on the season. But I think Notre Dame could end up winning, but I think it'd be a great environment, and it's not the game that Notre Dame's going to want right after Ohio State meltdown.
Yeah, Brad, your oddly specific takes are either going to turn out to be amazing or just absolutely abysmal. There's not really in between. Um,
If I
I don't hate him. I don't hate him. We get through Saturday.
Parlay Caleb Williams torn ACL second quarter, and Duke never
Never not covered.
trailing by more than the spread the entire game.
Well, I'm sure Vegas has some good odds for that one. All right.
All right, move on to this last one.
Yeah, I closed it off here. We probably have a game that only SEC fans care about. South Carolina hits the road, take on Tennessee. This is definitely a must-win for Tennessee in terms of their SEC championship hopes. Obviously, they have Georgia down the road, but they can't slip up this one. I expect it to be another high-scoring affair, as neither defense has impressed me in the slightest bit. I think the Vols win, but I got the Gamecocks covering. I think Spencer Rattler will have another great game this week.
11.5 point spread, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, my bad there. Got to let y'all know that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with South Carolina too. I've been a Spencer Rattler hater for a long time, but he's really impressed me this year, especially in the first half of that Georgia game. He was lights out. He was good in the UNC game too, and it's pretty evident they don't have the slightest bit of an offensive line. Defense isn't great either. Really, not much talent around him at all, and he's been absolutely amazing. Very few turnovers. He's just about top of the SEC in passing yards, and I think touchdowns as well. Been super impressed. I think he'll just because of Spencer Rattler think the Gamecocks are going to cover this game. And I don't even think Tennessee is that good, honestly.
No, neither. Jimmy?
Well, I'm gonna take the opposite on y'all. There's always that one guy. I'm gonna be that one guy. I think Tennessee covers the 11.5 point spread. I know they haven't looked particularly well. I know they struggled down in the swamp and lost. But Saturday night in Knoxville, it's gonna be a rowdy environment. This is a revenge game from last year. This is the game where South Carolina, Hendon Hooker got hurt and Tennessee got spanked in Columbia last year. But I think Tennessee turns it around and they get a big win at home. I haven't really been impressed with South Carolina's offensive line. I just don't think, I think Spencer Rattler is going to play really well, but I just think he's just going to be getting sacked a whole bunch of times in Knoxville on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm right up your alley. I think South Carolina has an awful offensive line. I think Spencer Rattler is really an awesome quarterback. I think he's played well, but I mean, he got sacked 8 times in their first game. I mean, it's just not something that you are gonna win ball games with on the road in the SEC. I love Tennessee in this game too. I think they end up winning by 11.5 is a lot of points. I think it's there for a reason, though. I think at home, revenge game. Um, they have enough motivation to really want to go out there and put up a score. I'm not going to let us get out of here without talking about Kansas at Texas, though. I think that's a really intriguing. I'll go and lead that one off. I think Kansas wins this game outright.
What's the line there?
It's 17. I'm taking
17?
everything.
Yeah, it's 17.
I like
So
Kansas
we're at Texas then?
at Texas. Not much analysis here. It's another just gut feeling. I don't know. I think Texas is just gonna be number one. I don't really know. I haven't watched too much Kansas ball this year, but I mean I know they've been playing well and being good, so that's all I got.
I'll take off next here. That's a tough one. I mean, 17. That's a lot of points. I feel hard to believe Kansas won't cover that one. I think Texas wins outright, as I have Texas in my playoffs, but I think Kansas covers the large 17-point spread. I think Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback, and I think the program they're building is coming along the right way.
Yeah, I agree. I love
got
Jalen
Kusa.
Daniels. And to be honest, even though Texas whooped Bama's ass and Bryant Denny, I really was not that impressed with their squad. I think we shot ourselves in the foot a lot and made Texas look a little bit better than they are. I think they've got some problems offensively. Um, and I think they're definitely going to get the win at home, but I think the Jayhawks are going to cover. And it'll probably be I think the cover is going to be tight, but I
Yeah,
uh, I think they get it done.
I could see a push there if I'm being honest.
Yeah, me
Yes,
too. That
sir.
that sounds like a really good number. It's
We love
17.
the push. We love the push.
Jimmy, you're gonna give us another push?
No, I'm not. I'm actually going to fade all y'all. I love Texas to cover this weekend.
Okay.
Um, September 16th, I watched a little bit of Kansas at Nevada, who is one of the worst group of five teams right now. They're 0-4, and Kansas played awful, should have lost, only won by a touchdown. I think Jaden Daniels is a dog. He's really good. I love watching him play. I love Lance Leapoid. He's done one hell of a job at Kansas on what he's done. But I think Texas is, in my book, first or second best team in the country right now. Quinn Ewers is an incredible quarterback. It's probably going to be a hot one down in Austin with a 2:30 kick on ABC. But I see Texas backdoor cover. I think they win 42-21 against the Jayhawks.
Brad looks like he wants to throw up in the background over there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. I'm remembering last year going down to Austin.
Yeah, that was a hot one.
That talk about a hot one. Worst summer of my life. That was the hottest game I've ever been to, other than maybe another Texas game, 2012 at Aggie Land in College Station. That
Yeah,
was about the six at time
yeah.
of kick.
The weather
Yeah,
on the weather on
Texas Heat.
Saturday in Austin, it's gonna be high of 95. That game's right at 2:30, so it's gonna be a hot one
Oh
for
God.
sure.
All right. Well, I think all we got for our pilot episode here. We'll be looking forward to recapping, see if Caleb Williams' ACL is intact next. Um, we'll be going through everybody's picks along with the game and breaking down the tide. I'm gonna end it off with a nice roll down tide.
Yeah.
Roll
Right.